Hey guys, how you doing? It's Guido. A little different this time. A little tactics talk going on for you, but I thought I would go over a little something here before we get into the replay, which as you can see is of the LHM TV right here. And it's been my contention always that these are not nearly as bad as people have been saying, and these being being the British light tanks. Super hype about how bad they are, and people doubling down and really saying kind of ridiculous things. Doing really well in the tank and then having all kinds of rationalizations and caveats that make absolutely no sense whatsoever. I mean, it makes zero sense. So the numbers are coming out and they are not anywhere near as bad as the hyperventilators have made out. And I'm probably irritating my base with this, and that's fine. You know, eventually I'll get over it. But it really irritated me how the whole thing went down. And still, to a large extent, irritates me. And everyone's going to move on, and nothing else is going to be said about it. But the problem is the damage is already done, and these are really pretty good tanks. They are. So let's take a look at some of the initial numbers that are coming out right now. And I have no doubt, I know exactly what you're going to say down in the comments. So, but go ahead. Some of it could be some valid criticisms or observations about the numbers. But let's just look at right now what the numbers are. I'm looking at wattlife.com, but you can look at NewBeater, WattLife, nearly any site that tracks the stats, and they're roughly the same thing. The point being that they are not the basement dwellers. Not even close. All right? So let's take a look at this real quick. We have right here the Mana Core, and it is sitting at number 2 on victories, and it is sitting at number 4 on win 8. This one was widely panned as the worst light tank in the game. You know what the worst light tank in the game is? The Rheinmetall Panzerwagen. That's your worst light tank in the game, okay? At tier 10, at least. So not even close. Not even remotely bad. All right, number 2, the GSOR. Personally, I think this is the worst in the line, probably the one that needs the most help, but even that one is sitting at 3rd in victories. Third in victories and 3rd in win 8. I don't know what to tell you, folks. Those are the numbers. All right, low sample size, potential early adopters being good players. Maybe in 6 months these change. Does it go to the basement? I doubt it very seriously. Not based on what we're seeing here. It's simply with the numbers that we have and the amount of people who have played it, it will adjust and they may actually go down a bit. I will admit to that. They are not going to be in the basement. You know what your worst light tank at tier 9 is? Win rate, the WZ. And look at that. It's actually got a pretty good win 8. But these numbers for the GSOR, it's in relatively the same position. Just like that, 3rd and 3rd. All right. The WZ-132 does a lot of damage. That's one of the things that helps that thing out. But the point again being, don't go crazy. What I'm telling you is they are not the worst light tanks. Not even close. So we take a look at the LHM TV. This thing is actually pretty darn good. And there are a lot of tier 8 light tanks, aren't there? The LHM TV is at 3rd on win rate, 2nd on win 8. This one is actually the best in the line, without a doubt. At tier, the LHM TV is the best, and that's what I'm going to show you here on a replay. But it is certainly not down here, is it? It's not even remotely as bad as the Hawk 12, and I kind of like the Hawk 12 just because it's the strange kid. Nobody likes that kid, right? But I actually like it. I'm not going to tell you though that the Hawk 12 is good because it isn't. I like it. It's terrible. I'm telling you, I like the LHM TV and it's good. Right? Not even remotely close to the worst tank. We get to, this one did surprise me a little bit. I will admit, I figured the setter would be a little better, but the setter happens to actually be, per the numbers, down towards the bottom. Now this may also talk to a little bit about your point that you're about to put down into the comments section, that the early adopters and more bad players are playing the setter as they go through, very possibly. But it doesn't actually get to the bottom, does it? Although the awful Panther is gone. That surprised me. The T71 CMCD is actually pretty bad. But it is down there near the bottom, and then win 8-wise, it is near the bottom. So, okay, the setter may need a little love. I actually liked it and didn't find it to be that bad and did very well in it as well. But the The attack on the British lights was that the whole line is awful trash garbage. Not even worth your time. That's what the talking heads are telling you. Don't even bother with the British lights. They're all terrible. BS. Complete and utter BS. Wrong on every level. Simply wrong. And I just have to get that off my chest, man. And maybe I'm creating some drama here, the East Coast, West Coast thing going on. Is this a diss video at this point? I don't know. I'm not naming any names. But it is pretty much across the board. Very few people, some have, but very few people have come out and admitted that these are actually okay. And as a matter of fact, they sort of bring a play style into the game that didn't really exist based on some of their capabilities. And it's not necessarily all about pure DPM. That is a great way to win. That is the meta right now. I got it. I'm not going against that. I'm not saying that, hey, let's have a bunch of very tiny, sneaky, stealthy tanks because that's the wave of the future. It's not. That's not my point. The point is that if you think they're the worst lights in the game, you are 100% wrong. You just are. And the facts are starting to come out and show that that's true, that you are wrong. All right, let's take a look at a replay here because I think this replay helps to illustrate my point quite a bit. These things do stuff that other light tanks really can't do. Not as well anyway. Which is why they tend to do a lot better than you might expect looking at their stats. If you simply looked at their stats and took it by DPM and ammo count, etc., the things that have been the big knocks against them, then you would come to the conclusion pretty easily that they're bad. Unless you actually put some time into it and learned how to play it and understood what these tanks are about, in which case they're actually pretty good. All right, let's take a look at it. All right, got rid of my ugly mug here. We're on Muravanka. We've spawned into the south when we are on encounter. We got the Magic Forest over here, which is a great scouting position. Not necessarily for getting passive lights and such, although it can happen if your snipers can work, but for spotting the guys coming up and seeing what's going on. So I'm trying to get into this bush. That bush is a great spot for a little tiny tank like this, and I couldn't get there because the enemy light tank was smart, and now I'm going to bail out. And there's just nobody coming my way, so I'm going to use the little tiny size and my relative camo and the fact that, thank goodness, nobody else was fast enough to get there. I'm going to bail out of that position because I really don't have a whole lot of help. So I'm going to leave this. There's no sense in an LHMTV going up front there. And that's one of the knocks against the line is that it can't really hold its own counter scouting, but that's not the point of the tank. The point of this tank is not to get in there and out DPM another scout. And that's going to irritate people because that's kind of the meta of the game. It's all about DPM. It's about doing damage. But this thing has capabilities that allows it to do that. It's just not going to do it in the traditional way that you think other tanks would do. What does it have advantage-wise? It's very small and hard to hit. It has great camo for moving around even the smallest and tightest of maps. Much better than any other tank, other than perhaps the ELC Even 90. And this is really the ELC Even 90 was sort of a prototype for the way this thing plays. So if you know how to play an ELC Even 90, you're going to recognize the play of this game, or this tank. Now, I didn't want to go hide in a bush back here, but look at the team. They're all in the corner. So there's no reason to go over exposing the light tank. What I'm looking for are those assassination opportunities and the ability to get in there and start lighting guys up. And I'm kind of watching the middle of this map going, you know what? Let me think about this for a second. They realized we had nobody on the east flank, and they're pushing in already. That means there's probably a big train of fellas moving in that way, which means they're going to kind of overshoot the middle a bit. The Scorpion G has been sitting behind a bush or building in the middle and hasn't been spotted or obliterated, which makes me think that they haven't filtered through the Magic Forest very much, and the rest of them are probably over on the 1-2 columns, waiting to start poking at guys trying to get on the cap, or maybe even pushing towards the cap. So what am I going to do? I'm going to use one of this thing's major capabilities, and that is the fact that A, it's a scout, so it carries its camo while it moves, and B, it has amazing camo. Got a good crew in it. I'm running a camo reserve, or a camo, whatever that thing is. What are those things called? Whatever they are. The new thing. Directive. So this thing is really hard to see. So I'm going to cruise through here. Look at this. I'm going to go right by that heavy tank right there. Just right by him. No worries. Look how far inside the circle I am. Didn't get spotted. I see a defender. Now the two scouts have jumped all over the Scorpion G, but I've used that opportunity to sneak back into the back, and nobody saw me. That is the gameplay that this tank provides that almost no other light tank can do. Almost no other light tank. You have to have very good camo to make that happen. I wondered if the Rev actually saw me, but I come in here, and now I'm spotted. The jig is up. These two have no idea I'm coming. Thank goodness the GWS fired. The 155-51 realized I was there first and started running. I think he had just fired as well. I knew that the GW had fired, and I'm definitely spotted here. I've got to watch out for this Rev. I'd like to not get hit by him. But I'm just going to come in here and use this little thing's tiny size. I'm just going to park myself right in here and hide. Now, very few tanks can use that little tiny bit of cover based on their size. Some light tanks can, no problem. Can't quite find the 4202, but he dies. And then I'm hoping the Rev, and all of a sudden now I see this RHM. I'm not particularly bushed up, but I'll just drop one into him and miss him, unfortunately. Bad shot, bad gunnery on my part. And I took what was looking like a really bad situation for my team, because we were just about to get swarmed on every side. And now I'm back here causing all kinds of issues. If I take down the Rev, that gets me spotted. That was poor bush use on my part. Should have easily shot him without being spotted if I had just backed up a little bit. I'm hoping not to get splashed by the 4043. I don't want to push into the 4043. I know there's a Scorpion G and an RHM back there somewhere. And more than likely, the 4043 and the two TDs are at least keeping an eye on me. So I'll move this way, and I get a little bit surprised here because I actually find somebody right there. And that's unfortunate. Look at this guy. He's been sitting back there. Now, he knows I'm there, and the bad part is I get seen. I stopped. And that's one thing you do not do with this tank if you can help it. If you think you're going to be spotted, keep on trucking, because I just ate a big hit, and I'm down to a one-shot to a lot of them. And I'm glad I didn't get pinned here, and I see him coming. There's the Artie. So the Artie took a poke at me. I see this guy moving. Now watch what I do here. I'm trying to get unstunned. I'm just going to go to the red line. Look how close he is on the green indicator right there. Didn't see me. Did not see me. Virtually no other light tank does that. There's a couple, but that's the gameplay that this tank provides. That silent assassin sneaking around. And I know that's not everybody's cup of tea. Gameplay-wise, so I'll just come up here, just drop a little shot on this guy. There's another hit into him. But just because it's not everyone's cup of tea does not mean it's not effective, and it is fun. And again, the point being, and this is probably where I get the most pushback, is people are like, well, no, they're not great. Well, okay, I'm not telling you they're the best light tank in the game. What I'm telling you is they're not anywhere near as bad. And as a matter of fact, in certain situations are pretty dang fantastic. Pretty dang fantastic. So I'm in the backfield. I'm a little bit worried the prototype's just going to come at me. A bit of indecision right here because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. And I said, whatever, we're just going to go in here and see if we can't get this 40-43 out. So I find him. He's making a runner. I drop one on him. Thank goodness one of those TDs was not able to swing their turret around fast enough to get me. And I really want to get rid of him because I don't want him being an issue. Take a shot at him. Down he goes later on because those things will splash the snot out of these little tiny tanks. And I'm just going to get out of here. I'm waiting to go dark. I don't want to come up and over that ridge immediately because they may be timing me or looking at me. And I see him, and now I'm just going to get out of here. And again, I'm just working in their backfield here. Now, 2 of them have got onto the cap, which is good. There's only 4 left, so I know where 2 are. That's very helpful. That means probably the RHM. Nope, the RHM has moved over there. The prototype was not smart enough to come at me. He's still goofing around the back. See how I just spotted him? And he doesn't see me. Off I go up to here, looking to take out the 40T. Now, props to... do anyone use that word anymore? Props to the Progetto, who does a fantastic job. You'll see the results afterward. You can see both of us have 5 kills, and now there's 2 tanks left. I'm a one-shot more or less. He's a one-shot, or very close to it. He drops a lot of damage, and this tank doesn't drop a lot of damage, necessarily. That's not what the tank is about. Yes, the DPM is bad. The pen is fantastic. It gets the shots, and they pen when they count. That's important. Because it's not all about just pure DPM. I realize that number is important, noted, but that's not what it's all about. The question really is, can it employ the DPM? Right? There are tanks out there with lots of DPM who can't employ it very well. See the RHMB? I'm going to come up and over. Just stop real quick. He doesn't even see me yet. Didn't even see me. Right there. Now I'm seen because I fired. and off I go. And again, congrats to ACR Kill. ACR Kill. Watch what he does. He follows me. He's like, all right, that dude's got the eyes. He's actually working with me as a team. He came back to help me when we found that guy. So he's just going to follow me. I'm going to come through here. Maybe a bit of a dangerous approach. The T-28 is not very good and hasn't done a couple things I would have done to make sure that he tracked me down. But that's not necessarily the question of a game. The question of a game is, what do you do with that? What do you do with that? When the enemy is bad, how do you work with that and make it work for you? And now we are in, probably for the last 2 minutes now, this is the LHM TV and the British light tanks. This is their purpose. This is their wheelhouse right here. Sneaking around late game when there's not very many guns in the game. And heck, even when there were a lot, you saw me go right up the middle unspotted right there. And assassinating, finding and assassinating guys who cannot outspot you or even see you. Now I figure this T-28 has a pretty bad crew because I managed to sneak by him multiple times already. I'm going to just kind of work my way forward in these buildings. This gives me a couple advantages. There's bushes to jump in, and there's a lot of buildings. So if I do get spotted in here and I see them, it's easy to get to a building because there's so many of them around. Almost any angle he sees me, I can pretty quickly dive behind a building and get away from him. So I'm just going to work the binocs here. I just wait till they cook, see if he's moving around. I have a lot of time. I got 5 minutes. I see that the Progetto's following me up, not close enough to get immediately spotted, although he might be a little too close. Kind of hard in the buildings because he really needs to be sort of close. If he's too many buildings behind me, he won't be able to support. So I'm going to move up here. Don't see anything. I do that just like that, a lot of quick peeking back to see if I get lit. Because if I came straight up and over and went into the bush, it's possible he would have seen me. So I don't see anything there. Again, I'm going to let the binocs cook. And good on the Progetto. He's just waiting for me. He's watching me try to figure out where this guy is. I figured the corner. And I think he actually agreed with me. He says, yeah, but it doesn't turn out that's where he is. This is pretty good here. We'll come around this way. And I say, okay, well, let's go down the edge of the map to try to find him. Let's go back this way and clear out whether he might be nearby this area. So I come around this way. Don't see anything. And I think, well, let's just cap it. We'll force him out. We'll cap and force him out. And I say, oh, geez. There he is. He sees me, but see how low and small that tank was? How tiny it was? He only had a very fleeting shot. And again, he's not the brightest of players right here. He's doing his best. But a larger tank may have ate a shot right there. But because I'm so small and tiny, and he saw me so late, he's not able to do anything. Here's where I use that building. Now, you can tell he's got a nice slow turret. That's helpful. The Progetto's poking at him. I'll just come in here and bounce. Bummer. He's sort of staring at where the Progetto is. I'm waiting for the reload. And then he looks at me, so I decide, yeah, that's not a good idea. And I'm thinking, well, he's going to come at me. And then he thinks better of it. So I think the Progetto poked around again. And this is the advantage of 2 tanks versus 1, especially one with a really bad turret traverse. He does an actually good job here getting away. I'm like, where the heck did he go? Especially one with a bad turret traverse. If you give them a couple angles to look at, they have a hard time keeping their gun on you and snapping you. So just move around this way. Do a little peek here. There he is. Sneak one into his side. I'm just going to come out, and if he moves from around behind the building, I'll just hide behind it. I'm figuring I'm just going to drop this building. There we go, but the Progetto takes him down. And we got 6 kills each, 2 top guns, 1,526 damage, 1,287 with 6 kills. So, bottom line on this thing, did I do 3,000 or 4,000? No. Does this tank, is it easy to do that much in this tank? No. Does it have the DPM for it? Not necessarily. It's got great pen. I have some high damage games in this, but that's not what this tank line is about. It actually fulfills a role that the developers wanted it to fill, which is golf clap for the developers, because a lot of times when they declare those kinds of things, it doesn't really work out, but these tanks can actually do that. The Silent Assassin late game. and they just do it better than other scouts. Other scouts do it. That's what they do late game. If you get your scout into a late game, you're in a good position. That's where you want to be. Late game with some hit points, helping dig out campers and the hiders and the last few tanks and all that good stuff. That's what light tanks do. But what I'm telling you is that these tanks do it as good or better than any of them. And even if the declaration was they're as good as other tanks, that would be 10,000 times better than the hyperventilators would have you believe. Because they're all telling you don't even bother. Well, I'm telling you bother because they're a lot of fun. Nothing wrong with them. They don't play exactly like other light tanks necessarily. They are not going to give you, they're not going to help you with your 4,000 DPG average or whatever it is you're trying to go for. But I promise you, they will help you enjoy the game and have fun, because that is all I have done in these things, is enjoy the game and have fun. I'm at like 64% win rate in this thing, almost at 100 battles. And for a tank that's supposed to be absolutely awful, terrible, can't do anything, don't bother, I sure am doing something with it. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I do appreciate it. If you'd like to support the channel, go ahead and look in the description down below. There'll be some options for you to do so. Send me a like, send me a follow, all that good stuff. Leave me your opinion down in the comments. I'm sure I'll get all kinds of them, and that's fine. Keep it civil, keep it straightforward. Agree to disagree, all that good stuff, and we'll have our little debate. But I just wanted to do a follow-up on this with this video, because I just find the pronouncements of the British line, the early ones, to be 100% wrong. Not even close to right. Not even close. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. We will see you.